Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Alex Morish, and let's core up the U.S. view. HRC honors LGBTQ journalists for defying silence. In a bold response to growing threats against journalism, especially LGBTQ journalists, the Human Rights Campaign is stepping up with recognition on April 24 during the White House Correspondents Dinner week in Washington, D.C. HRC will present its first ever Guardians of Truth Journalism Awards. The awards celebrate reporters who haven't just informed the public, but defended queer lives in an era of rising political hostility. The three inaugural honorees are Axios tech journalist Ina Fried, Queer Daily News founder Nico Lang, and MSNBC anchor Jonathan Capehart. Fried will receive the Torch of Progress Award, honoring her courage in covering major national stories as an out trans journalist. Lang, whose book American Teenager chronicles 8 trans and non-binary youth, is being honored with the Narrative Impact Award, and Capehart, a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and trailblazer in cable news, will receive the Beacon of Courage Award. HRC President Kelley Robinson said, "These awards are about pushing back and showing up. And for community under fire, that recognition makes them matters more than ever." You know, I first want to personally say, I've met Ina Fried, congratulations, you've been a great journalist. She's an institution at Axios, quite frankly. Nico Lang, I've just been following his work for years and years and years. Jonathan Capehart, I'm disappointed that he hasn't left the Washington Post after Eugene Robinson did the morally courageous thing. And that's sort of where I'm about to go with HRC. It's on the one hand, it's kind of nice for you to honor journalists. I'm a little surprised with Capehart in the pick due to him being connected to Jeff Bezos still. But my bigger question for not just HRC, but also the National LGBTQ Task Force and the other LGBTQ rights groups, they're what have you been doing to actually help fund LGBTQ media, along with the whole progressive nonprofit space? I find they love to allegedly award journalists, but they don't like to actually help fund journalism.
As someone who used to who did his dissertation on LGBTQ bloggers, I mean, there was a huge shrinkage after Obergefell from a lot of queer media. A lot of queer media and bloggers specifically just packed up and went home. They're job's done, shut the door, turn off the lights. And turns out, 2 years after that, we got another shit show. We can't say that we just give up. We need to find the funds. We need to start more outlets. We need to amplify our voice online more than ever. We can't let the alt-right just take the entire space from us.
Well, that's why I think it's so important for both LGBTQ nonprofits and the progressive advocacy space to do more funding of journalism. I think of Think Progress did a lot of great LGBTQ journalism. Mm-hmm. They were part of the Center for American Progress. The CAP decided to stop paying for it. The task force at one time had a Creating Change magazine. It wasn't a proper media outlet, but they could fund something like that. I'd love to see that. HRC could invest in things like Hotspots Magazine. It's a nonprofit they could donate to. They could do more advertising in things like Out South Florida or Options Magazine, the Washington Blade, and they could also ask both the Trans Journalists Association and the National LGBTQ Journalists Association for advice on funding more LGBTQ media outlets. They just haven't.
And also, please, if any rich gay or gay adjacent billionaires would like to shell out some money, that would be nice. We can all use some Apple stocks to start a foundation, Mr. Tim Cook.
And I'm also looking for a husband. That's not a big LGBTQ story, but the other one was, and there is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ story.